Tonight is going to be a very exciting show because we have our first guest in the studio at 6:15, Miss Teresa Wright. She is the creator and owner of the Empowered Stance. What I love so much about this wonderful foundation is we're going to be talking about as well as discussing anti-bullying. We know that, nowadays our children are facing anti-bullying and the numbers are rising. Not only that, guys, deaths. Yes, children's deaths are rising. But what's so interesting, too, that this beautiful foundation not only focuses on bullying for children, but bullying for adults, anti-bullying going on in the workplace. So we're going to talk to Teresa around 6:15 and get all the information in regards to her foundation and get her thoughts on what she's doing in regards to working in the community and really rallying behind this epidemic. I mean, something that really wasn't spoken about, a few years back, and now it's prevalent that we do talk about it because we see it every single day in the newspaper. We see it on television. We see it on the Internet. So it's really time to get those discussions started. So if you have your family with you, come on, pull up to the Internet and listen, and definitely call in with your questions because this is a topic that we're going to discuss. And welcome back, Sports Nation, and welcome to The Doctors Are in the House. I'm your host, Kathy B. I am sitting in for Dr. Tanisha this evening, and tonight we're going to be discussing in our first hour anti-bullying. But before we do all of that, I want to thank our partners, and they are Gospel Golden Radio, Cat Photography, Hitmasters, BlogTalk Radio, and the Barbershop Graphic Web Design. We are live tonight, guys, so give us a call. That telephone number is 619-924-0933. Again, 619-924-0933. We have about an hour and 45 minutes left on the show, which means at the top of the hour, and that is at 8 o'clock, we will lose the live feed. So if you're listening on your Androids, your laptops, and your iPads, definitely give us a call before 8 o'clock so you can continue to hear the show just in case we go over. That number again is 619-924-0933. Now, guys, we were talking about right before we went to break what our next guest we'll discuss at 6:15, and we're talking about anti-bullying. This young lady reached out to me about a week ago, and I'm very passionate about her foundation and what she is doing within her community. She is talking about anti-bullying and what we can do as a community, as adults, as parents, really to discuss an issue that, quite honestly, has gotten out of hand. Within the last few years, we are now beginning to see an astounding rate of bullying going on, especially with our children. Not only that, children are losing their lives to this sad tragedy epidemic. So it's really all about us coming together and understanding why this happens, what type of conversations we should be having, and really getting to talk. Not only that, Teresa will definitely share with us about bullying in the workplace. Come on, guys, we are adults, but it actually happens. And not only that, what can this actually do to the human mind? Guys, people are taking their lives because they can't take this anymore. That form of stress really gets to the point where you're depressed and you feel as though you have nowhere to turn, you have no one to talk to, you have nowhere to go. So the only choice you have is to take your life to something that is so sad. But our guest just stepped into the studio, and I am so happy that she's here. I do believe that she's mic'd and ready to go. Teresa, are you there?
I am. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for coming in tonight. You're actually here on the show, The Doctors Are in the House. I typically would have a doctor here, in the first hour, which is Dr. Tamisha Bullock, but she has some things that she had to do tonight, so I'm actually sitting in on the show. So I'm very excited to have you here. But Teresa, before we get started, if you don't mind, please, because I know I didn't do your introduction justice, and I tell all of my guests this because I want them to be able to share with Source Nation who they are and what it is that you're doing in your community. So if you will, please, could you just tell us who you are and what we'll be discussing tonight, and we'll go on with the show from there.
I'm Teresa Wright, and I own EmpoweredStance.com. And what I do is anti-bullying. I coach individuals to overcome the silent epidemic of bullying. As you stated, we see so much of it in the child life, but it revolves also with the adult life. And there's so many stages of bullying and how we accept ourselves versus the torment that we go through mentally. And being a bullied person myself, I have went through my own experiences, and I've learned to overcome bullying, and that is what I want to do. I want to show people that they don't have to take their lives, Kathy. They can overcome this and live a very fulfilled, happy life, because life is such a wonderful journey.
It is. And what I want to do, Teresa, because I actually had the opportunity to really take a look at your website. Not only that, in Source Nation, you know, if I ever source anything here on the show, I definitely will put that information back on the site. But I want to read some statistics to you, Teresa, because I think that this is just so real, and people really need to understand that this is really an epidemic that has truly gotten out of hand. And not only has it gotten out of hand, but the numbers actually rise. We're not talking about hours in a day. We're talking about minutes in a day. This is like a daily type of thing. So let me go ahead and just read some things off to you, and we'll talk about how this correlates with what you're doing on a daily basis through your foundation. I'm actually sourcing the information, guys, from MBNBD, and it's Make a Sound for a Voice That Is Unheard. So just give you some facts and some statistics. It basically says that it's estimated that 160,000 children miss school every day due to fear of attack or intimidation by other students. American schools harbor approximately 2.1 million bullies and 2.7 million of their victims, okay? 1 in 7 students in grades K through 12 is either a bully or a victim of bullying. 56% of those students have personally witnessed some type of bullying at school. 15% of them have had some form of high school absent rates. 71% of those students report incidents of bullying as a problem at their school. So, Teresa, let's talk about the children, because I want to move gradually into adult, because I know that it takes place in the adult life. But what are your thoughts on those numbers? Those numbers are very high. And then not only that, you're talking about 1 in 7 students, grades K through 12, either are a bully or they're a victim. What are your thoughts about that?
They are, and the numbers are phenomenal. And as you said, they continue to grow, and I would say by the second. Bullying is a form of attention. A bully is weak, and so therefore they're going to overpower who they feel is weaker than them. And so that is the start of a bully. And, they don't learn that. They were not born a bully, and that's where it becomes very sad, because the situation has gotten out of hand, and we are moving in such a fast world right now and we don't take the time, I don't believe, as we did in earlier years. We don't really sit down and really take the time to understand what our children are going through. And actually, I just had a conversation today, and I hope you don't mind that I get into that.
No,
about
please share it. Please share it.
And, I was talking with some adults, and it was everything is just fast track. Your child will come in, and your first question to them is, how was your day? And they say, all right, and you go, oh, okay. And you move about your business. We don't take the time to stop and pay attention to their emotions, to their facial expressions, to their wants, and to their needs. And so, therefore, they just assume that we don't care. So I want to alert parents and adults or caretakers that we really need to stop and start paying attention to what their surroundings are. Is your child sociable? Are they going out and being sociable with other individuals, or are they coming in and just hiding themselves? That is an awareness. There's so many red lights out there that we, again, just bypass because we are in such a hurry to move on to the next thing in our life.
Now, you said something that was very important. Actually, everything that you're saying is very important. But what literally sticks out to me, let's go back to where you said, about bullying, being born. No one is born a bully. So let's talk about that, the mindset of wanting to verbally hurt someone or wanting to physically hurt someone. But the fact is that when you're talking about someone in kindergarten, you're talking about a child that is 5 years old. Where is that anger coming from? Now, if I had to give my opinion, I would possibly say that the child's environment, the home life, he or she is seeing that between mommy and daddy or siblings, and they have adapted to it to where they feel that it is the norm. So when they are leaving the house, it is just that. It's normal for them to react in that way. So what are your conversations when you're speaking with your clients or when you're in your community groups? How do you deal with that? What are you talking about? What are you saying to them exactly about handling that?
Absolutely, and I'm glad you brought that up. And I will go back to they were not born a bully. And you are absolutely right. They are seeing it. I want to go further out of the home life. It's either in the home life or adults around them. They are seeing one adult bully another adult, or either the adult is bullying the child. And there's nothing changing within that environment, so they find that it is okay. And that becomes a normal thing in their life. So they feel when they go to school or when they go to the playground or to extracurricular activities that this is an okay thing to do because mommy and daddy are doing it or Aunt Jane and Uncle Fred are doing it. So this is the way life is supposed to be. And that brings us back to, we've got to start paying attention to our environments and what we are leaving our children in. So many times, Kathy, I hear people say they will literally watch their children. I've witnessed this, arguing and bickering and literally fighting, and call them a bully. You are putting that in their subconscious mind to where they're thinking, I'm a bully, and my mommy and daddy or another adult stated that, so it's okay. So what we need to do is we need to back ourselves up, and we need to really take a moment to understand what is going on around us. Years ago, we didn't think about stuff like this. And the reason it wasn't so full-blown, and I was just asked this question not even a month ago, Teresa, do you feel that bullying has been around for many years? Absolutely. But we didn't have the cell phones. We didn't have the Internet. So in order for you to take a picture, you had to run up and get it developed. 3 or 4 days later, you've already forgotten that. Where now it's in a matter of seconds. They are posting this stuff out there. And I really feel that the technology, the electronics, is really hurting our kids to a certain extent when it comes to something like that. So they have, you know, I really highly advise adults to put the child block on those electronics unless you really honestly understand that they are not a bully and they are not going to fall into that formation.
Yeah. Now let's talk about types of bullying. And again, Source Nation, I am sourcing material, and please know that I will have this information out on our Facebook pages momentarily. But types of bullying, Teresa, because I know that you probably mentioned this too, because when you're in your groups and when you're meeting with your clients, there are different things, and you've even said it yourself, there has to be some signs going on. So take a listen to what I found. It says bullying can take many forms, but it usually includes the following types of behavior. In regards to physical, it states that hitting, kicking, pinching, punching, scratching, spitting are all forms of physical attack. As far as verbal, name-calling, insulting, making racist remarks, sexist or homophobic jokes. Indirect could be spreading nasty stories about someone, exclusion from social and society groups, being made a subject in malicious rumors, cyberbullying, any type of bullying that is carried out by electronic form, texting, pictures, video clipping. I mean, all of this has gotten really advanced, as you just said, through technology. And as you said also earlier, everyone is living this fast microwave mentality. And you're right. It takes communication being in the home. And I will tell you this, you know, my sons are older. I have one that is a sophomore in college, and I have one that is in the 8th grade. And I know that they have things that they want to do, and I know being that they are 13 and 20, sometimes they just really don't want to sit down and talk to mommy sometimes. But you know what, Teresa? It's not that I forced conversation and communication with them. It's what I expect. And I truly demand that they talk to me because I want to know, because I know how harsh the world can be. And it's so sad to where you as a parent fear for your children when they walk outside of that door. Not only that, the stresses of the world, but things that we as adults, we as parents worry about, our children are now worrying about it. So how do you talk about those types of things, or what is it that you're talking about when it comes to those such matters?
When I advise adults, when they talk to children, especially parents, when you're talking to your child, children, like you said, they don't want to come out. They don't want to tell mommy and daddy everything. I also have a 26-year-old and a 24-year-old, and I reflect that to when I try to have conversations with them, you know, and I just kind of set it aside, okay, well, they don't want to talk right now. Because at that point in time, I didn't have the knowledge that I do now that I have become an anti-bully coach. I really didn't understand what their motive was, and I thought, well, they just think that I'm wanting to interfere with their life. I want to know everything. But there is ways for parents to come across to their children. You don't have to ask them directly how was your day? Or if you know one of their friends, say, well, how was Susie today? And that will start a conversation, because you are now not only trying to interfere as they quote unquote think, you are asking them questions that she is really interested in my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that starts, there could be an issue there of, well, Susie's having it really rough right now because another individual has really been bothering her. That gives the parent or the adult opportunity to step in and say, how do you feel about that? So it's kind of, we want to step back and we want to look on the outside. We kind of want to shadow that child of ours and ask about the friends, ask about their lives and how things are going. And that pulls them into a conversation with us. That gives us the ability to start right in with them. So it's hard. It's very hard. You being a parent and I'm being a parent, it's really hard for us to understand that until we're told. And sometimes, as an adult, I will tell anybody any day of the week, I learn something new every day. And that is just something that I learned. Thank goodness my children weren't bullies, but it was something that I learned that I wish I would have had knowledge of when they were smaller.
Right. I mean, it's sad where we have to literally have those types of conversations with our children, but, with the way that the world is right now and the way that it's going, you have to have those conversations. I've said, in previous shows, the worst thing that a parent can do is to try to be the child's friend.
Absolutely.
And what I mean by that, Teresa, is that you are a parent first. You brought this human being into this world. You are really held accountable by the actions that you set actions for your children. So I think, honestly, we have too many people trying to be the best friend and trying to communicate to the children that way. But at the end of the day, you are mommy, you are daddy, you're auntie, you're uncle, and you are setting the prime example to the point where if that child is acting out and that child is doing something wrong, you have every right to, one, pop them on the behind, or sit down and speak to them in a manner to which they will understand, so when they walk out that door, they won't have that type of mentality, to where, they can do whatever they want to do and they can get away with it. And I honestly think that that's why we're seeing as many deaths as we have. Either children just can't take the way of the world, or their children taking very own lives and having to pay the price for it. What do you think about that? And I want to move over to the workplace bullying. So if we can get your opinion on that.
I do agree with you. We do want to be friends with our children. My children, I always told my boys, I will be a friend, but as you said, I am your mother. I will always be your mother. And I even remind them now as a joke, remember, I'm your mom. At 26 and 24. But parents in today's age, they're not respected like they should be. Right. And it is because I have heard this several times, and I've actually had to talk to parents about this. Well, I don't want my child not to have everything. If they don't have everything and their friend has everything, then they're going to get bullied. You are not teaching your child a lesson. You have to tell your child, I can't afford this. I had to do that. That broke my heart. But my children respected my honesty. And I think that parents really need to, like you said, and I have said several times, they need to be that parent. Be honest with your children. Tell them, I can't afford this. I'm going to do the best I can. I was a single parent, and it was really tough. I let them know right away, it's tough. I'm a single parent. This is what I can give you. But, you know, I believe that parents all show diversity, handicap. You know, I believe that the parent ought to go into those fields with their children also, so that they acknowledge the fact that we are all human beings. We are all fabulous people. The first, I will tell you a short story before we get into the workplace. The first time my boys came to me and they just demanded, it was an Atari, I believe, and I said, that night my family was raised around handicap. I have a handicapped sister. And that night we were having a handicapped dance. And I said to them, I'm going to take you to this dance. And if you feel that Atari game is more important to you than the breath you breathe or the true life that you're living, I will go buy that Atari for you tomorrow. I took them to the dance, and for them to watch how much the handicapped enjoyed life. They didn't care that they had a hot dog on the grill. They just totally enjoyed life. And as we pulled out that night, I said to my boys, do you guys want that Atari tomorrow? And both of them said, no, Mom. So what I'm saying here is parents need to get their children out there and see some of this and help them to understand that they do have a whole lot that they don't need.
Yeah.
Because there is so many people out there so much happier than they are. They dwell on the fact that they can't have something when you're looking at somebody that's dancing in a wheelchair and loving life.
That's right.
That's right. Yes.
You know, and it is truly amazing to see the ones, just as you said when you referenced someone that could be in a wheelchair that may have less than what we have, but yet they embrace life to the fullest, you know. And to me, I think that is something that we really should all focus on. It's just too stressful for children. Source Nation, we are live this evening with Teresa Wright, owner and creator of Empowered Stance. Telephone number to reach us is 619-924-0933. Again, 619-924-0933. Teresa, we do have a few questions coming in. I want to address that, and then we'll go right into the workplace for bullying through our chat room. It's stated, many times bullying is being reported, but the teachers are not doing anything about it. What would you suggest, and have you ever had to deal with your clients in regards to a question like this?
I have. Yes, I have. As a matter of fact, I went through it myself with one of my boys. And I did go to the school. I tried to speak with the individual themselves. That got me 0 places. And I moved up the ladder to the superintendent, and then I went to the board. And I did tell them, you know, I was going to file a report on this with the law if it continued. So we really you have to pay attention to that. And teachers, unfortunately, coaches, we see it all the time. I see it all the time. And we have to ask questions. Get your child together with that teacher, if at all possible, in a room together to where you are hearing both stories. And the reason I say that is because I would never doubt somebody to come and talk to me about bullying or say that they're being bullied. But I want to know both sides. I want to know what's happening. I just went through an event to where a child was actually bullying everyone else, but when it came back and it was all in fun, actually, but when it came back and he got hurt in the situation, it was instantly bullying. So put the 3 in the room together and talk with them. If you get nowhere, do not ever be afraid to go higher. And also tell them that you're going to put a report out there for it.
Yes, yes. I think that is the best thing to do, and good for you, Teresa, for doing that. I would have done the same exact thing. The next question that has come in through the chat room, at my child's school, they've been told that if they fight, they will be punished. How do we punish the perpetrator instead of the victim? Both should not be punished. What are your thoughts on that one?
I do not believe in fighting, of course. The perpetrator, again, what we're going to do with that situation, and I've talked to schools about this, what we're going to do with that situation is we're going to put in the room. And you are going to be there as a parent so that you can listen to both sides. We're going to go back to one of my first statements of the hour, and that was a bully is weak. So when you come in there and you're sitting there, you're going to get the truth out of that child. You're either going to get the truth or you're going to get total silence. But for them to know that you have stepped in there, you have sat there, and you're fully aware of what's going on a child, you are now intimidating that child and putting them back in their place. I always believe in trying to communicate the situation, but an adult has to be there and an outsider adult, and that outsider adult being the parent.
Right. Wow. Let's go ahead and shift over to workplace bullying. And, again, Source Nation, anything that we source, we definitely put it out. But this is what I found on workplace bullying, and you tell me what your thoughts are. It simply says that workplace bullying is when one person or a group of people in the workplace single out another person or individuals. Usually it's by unreasonable, embarrassing, or intimidating treatment. Usually the bully is a person in a position in authority who feels threatened by the victim. But in some cases, the bully is a coworker who is insecure or immature. Workplace bullying can be a result of single individual acting as a bully or of a company culture that allows or even encourages this kind of negative behavior. And what they're saying, Source Nation and Teresa, what I found is that workplace bullying can take on many forms. They said these are some of the things that you may experience. Shouting or swearing at an employee or otherwise verbally abusing him or her, one employee being singled out for unjustified criticism or blame, an employee being excluded from the company activities or having his or her work contributions being purposely ignored, language or actions or that would embarrass or humiliate an employee, practical jokes, especially if they occur repeatedly to the same person. So let's talk about that. I mean, because to me, we are all mature adults. Why would bullying take place in the workplace?
I would love to address that. I would love to address that, Kathy. The workplace bullying, and again, if you don't mind, I'm going to go back to a few of my experiences because I have been very much bullied in the workplace. And I was bullied by a individual that actually worked under I was a coordinator, and he actually worked for me. And this individual, I knew his background. He didn't have a very good life as a child. Okay, so follow me with this one. He didn't have a very good life for a child. He was sent away to a boarding school. He didn't really connect well with his father prior to his passing. So he was a bully. He was mad. He was with his family. So he brought his retaliation in on me. And me being a female and being his boss made it even worse. So this individual would go to several other individuals, and he would always say stuff about me in particular. And they would come back and tell me, well, I just kind of let this go for a long time. And finally he came in and he actually said something straight to me. And stopping him in his tracks, I'll never forget the look on this man's face, because I stood right up to him and I said, you are very much of a coward, because instead of you coming to me with all of your issues, you're going to everyone else and they're coming to me. So now we can talk about this. And he didn't want to talk about it because I stopped him. And I let him know I knew what he was doing to me. And I also told him he was not hurting me. He was only hurting himself. I did bring up his childhood. I did bring up, how unhappy he had to be. And if he really wanted me to sit down and talk with him, I would. But as we looked around, there were so many people standing there watching behind me and nobody behind him. And then I turned back and I said, you have no bystanders. That means nobody is really praising you for all that you're doing. But look at all the people on my side. And do you know, as of today, me and this gentleman are now very good friends. It was bringing his awareness back to, I'm sorry for what happened in your life, but I had nothing to do with it. So you'll find that a lot in workplace bullying. They will retaliate. It's jealousy, retaliation. For coworkers, I would say those are the two biggest ones. And as far as your supervisors in your human resource department and your VPs, your plant managers or managers, a lot of it's a power trip for them, very much of a power trip. And a lot of them themselves have been bullied as a child. So therefore, now they went through the whole process of getting beat down, and they're over all of these people now, and they have the power to beat them down. So it's another form of retaliation. And I actually had to do that with our VP. He banged his hands on the desk, and he started to yell, and I stopped him and said, you are being a bully to me, and I don't have to take this. So I let him know that I knew that he had a boss. So we'll go back to the parents with the teachers. Let them know that you have a boss, and I'm not afraid to go there. But if you would like to talk about it, we can do that too, because that would be my preference. So jealousy, retaliation, power trips falls into the workplace heavily.
It does. Let's talk a little bit about your foundation, Empowered Stance, and how we could get more information about it, and just some of the things that you're currently working on right now through your foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I would like to let everyone know that Empowered Stance it came from me empowering individuals to overcome bullying. And stance came from, it's time for you to take a stance and own your life. So that is how Empowered Stance became that business. And, yes, I have a website, as you know, and have announced, and I coach individuals to take a step-by-step. This overcoming bullying, and I don't want anybody to think that this is an overnight thing. You cannot overcome bullying overnight. It's a step-by-step process. There's a lot of baggage that you have been carrying on for so long that it's a step-by-step process. So on my website, I have a few blogs, and I also have questions and a little bit about me. I want people to know that this is not something that I just started out of the blue. I have experienced this. I have went through it and overcame this, and I still overcome it today. So, and there's so many different types of bullying, as you stated before. But my expertise is in relationship bullying, and I want people to understand that a relationship does not have to be between a spouse and another spouse. It could be partner spouse. It could be child, parent. It could be parent to child. Yeah, you have a relationship with everything you do in life. So therefore, it's a broad segment that I work with.
That is amazing, Teresa. If you will, because we are running out of time, if you can share with Source Nation how we can get more information about you. You want to give your website out again. If you're, if you have any social media sites that you can follow, and definitely Source Nation, we put that information out about Teresa and Empowered Stance, and that way you can go and get that information as well. But if you take a minute or two and give us that information, we'll greatly appreciate it, Teresa.
Yes, you could go to www.empoweredstance.com. That will give you all of the information. I have opt-in, and on the opt-in, once you opt in, it'll be your 5 steps, and you'll automatically be given an MP3 to listen to the 5 steps to get yourself started, to get yourself loving yourself and knowing yourself again. And also, I am an author, and I have just, in December, I published the book, The Power Within Me. And the book has got 20 lessons of bullying, the negative, and then the positive result at the end of that. And at the back of the book, I have a journal to where you can actually write down the feelings that you're having as you're reading the lessons. And you can purchase that on the website as well. And in early summer, I will be coming out with another book, No Shame, No Fear. So I don't want anybody to feel shamed that they were bullied, or I don't want them to feel fear coming out and letting people know that they have been bullied. That will be actual stories, and it's the negative, and then I'll do a series of questions, and then I'll come back with a positive result in the stories as well.
Oh, wow.
And all of these are very true, authentic stories. So everything is on my website, my phone number.
Yes, please give your number out, please.
You want 419-782-9948, or you can call my cell at 419-439-2582.
Thank you so much, Teresa. And definitely when you release your new book, we want you to come back here to Source Radio Network and share that amazing journey with us, and continue to, send the information in regards to anti-bullying, because this is so very important for us all to understand and know that it exists. There is no sense in hiding from it. There's no sense in not communicating, because if we don't, we will continue to see numbers that we do right now rise in regards to related deaths or stress, depression, all of that. So definitely we would love for you to come back and know that you are welcome when you're done with your book. And we'll talk about this even more. But thank you so much for being here tonight, Teresa. And if you will, please just forward us any other information that you would like for us to put out for you, and we will definitely do that, okay?
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. You have a great evening.
You too. Bye-bye.